Your pineal gland, also pronounced pineal gland, emphasis on pine, is a tiny little pine cone-shaped gland right in the middle of your brain hemispheres. And that is your third eye, which literally functions just like another eye and is called the mind's eye because the images you picture or imagine in your mind is what you see within your third eye, though much more vividly. By learning to place your attention inside of it, you can gain great guidance and phenomenal visual stimulation that will absolutely blow you away when you first learn to open it. It also feels quite blissful from being centered in that electrical stimulation of Kundalini. And though I do believe Jesus, or Jeshua, Jehoshua, however you want to pronounce it, was a real person, I believe what he taught was this sacred knowledge about Kundalini and enlightenment, just like so many before him. And there's plenty of biblical quotes and images to prove this is true. For example, Jesus died at 33 and was reborn, which symbolizes the electricity rising up our 33 vertebrae and activating the third eye where Christ consciousness dwells. You'll see plenty of images with the cross perfectly in line with the third eye, just like you see here. And Jesus even says, if your eye be single, your body will fill with light, the single eye being the pineal. Another quote I love, he says, "Meet me in Galilee." Then in the Christian dictionary it says Galilee means circuit. Your brain is that electrical circuit. Moving your consciousness into your third eye can be like going into your own spirit realm of pure energy and can be like looking down a swirling vortex, like a wormhole. And here you see Osiris is shown traveling into the stars on a boat that resembles a wormhole, and Jesus is so often depicted emerging through a Vesica Pisces, which looks an awful lot like light emerging through a wormhole. Here's several Bible quotes that hint at meditation and enlightenment. Feel free to pause and read them if you'd like, but they're mostly about finding the light within yourself in darkness, which is exactly what it's like to open your third eye in meditation with your eyes closed. Here's some more quotes I think are about this Kundalini awakening. The kingdom of God is within you. Be still and know that I am God. The people which sat in darkness saw great light. It even clearly says Jacob came face to face with God, and he called that place Peniel, just like the pineal or pineal gland, the third eye. The word epiphany even comes from epiphysis, which is also another name for the pineal gland, and learning to open your third eye can bring you tremendous guidance or sudden realizations out of nowhere, just like an epiphany. And in this video you're watching now is mostly from myself having one epiphany after the next. Astral projection is basically the term for when someone learns to project their consciousness into their third eye and travel as pure spirit within their own personal experience of the astral or spirit realm. Basically like entering a new dimension, or as I joke, going through a Mario tunnel inside your third eye. Here's Bible quotes that suggest astral projection. He knew a body in Christ, whether in the body or out the body, I cannot tell. Also, we are confident to be absent from the body to be present with the Lord. Notice at the bottom here, the models for charge implosion, along with that smallest image of light ever captured, each reveal the form of a Maltese cross once again. Then at the top you see an Indian temple that shows carefully constructed pillars that form the same Maltese cross from looking straight down it. And the truth is, you will literally see that same looking cross when opening your third eye, because that's how the actual physics work. How crazy is that? It really seems like all the main religions have stemmed from this one basic truth within us all, but has gradually been lost or manipulated over the ages, in my opinion. Here's microscopic images of vitamin C, showing those same implosive forces at work. Perhaps that's why it's so vital to our health. As you learn to open your third eye, you can gradually feel a vortex that connects directly from the pineal down to the center of the heart, and you'll know when you found it because I call that feeling electric love due to how blissfully warm and powerful it really is. It's becoming more well known that Christ or the Christos means anointed one, meaning your cerebral spinal fluid climbs the ascent of your spine, aka Jacob's ladder, and into the brain where it meets your 12 cranial nerves, aka the 12 disciples, which then ignites the pineal gland, resulting in your resurrection as you are reborn with the truth that we are all one and you're no longer living in the mind of an egotistical individual. The Jesus fish comes from the Vesica Pisces, which is just two of the intersecting circles of the flower of life, and it is really all about the geometric balance of energy needed to enrich your DNA and grow your aura through enlightenment, Kundalini. Kundalini can't rise without that balance. The sacred egg shape is yet another Torus field golden ratio reference, and many are starting to think that perhaps Easter is really about this same basic theme of enlightenment. Many theories suggest that Santa Claus is based on a part in the middle of our brains called the claustrum. So could the Christmas tree as well be symbolism for the pineal gland within the brain, and lights and bulbs for the chakras? Not to mention the star often on the top of the tree, which we now know our brain is geometrically formed from, and also all the Kundalini-like spirals on candy canes and many other things really make you wonder. When you start learning about just how many other historical figures have the same story as Jesus and then have the same birthday and resurrection, especially Horus from Egypt if you investigate, it really starts to add up that there's an underlying theme here. The Zeitgeist documentary reveals Jesus as the actual sun, which reaches its lowest point of descent during the winter solstice, where it appears to die for 3 days until rising again at the Crux constellation, which is a cross, thus is reborn and beginning its ascent towards spring. So what we have here with the two meanings of resurrection is another case of as above, so below, where the Bible is showing allegory for the sun's S-U-N's resurrection, and also the sun's S-O-N's resurrection with Kundalini awakening. The stairway to heaven is yet another metaphor for Kundalini, as your spiraling energy rises up your spine, which reflects fractally as above, so below once more, all the way down to your spiraling DNA. The Tower of Babel, the classic tower reaching to the heavens, is Kundalini. Your body is the tower, with the 7 chakras, each one of them one of the colors of the rainbow, leading all the way up to heaven. And don't forget about that sacred number 7 there. You'll find ancient statues and artwork showing 7-headed serpents from around the world, and those 7 serpents are once again just metaphors for the 7 chakras in Kundalini awakening. And notice how at the bottom right one looks a lot like a Jewish menorah. The sacred number 7 is everywhere throughout history, and of course in the menorah, which men aura, is the 7 layers of colors of man's aura. Also in Judaism, there's 7 spirals around the arm for the Tefillin practice. In Islamic tradition, they walk around that cube 7 times at Mecca. Back to Christianity, we have the 7 circles around Jericho to make the walls fall. We have 7 trumpets, 7 bowls, 7 seals, and the list goes on and on the more you investigate. The story of Moses is another Kundalini allegory or metaphor, and his staff is the spine, with the serpent being our energy. The Red Sea is said to represent the swirling electrical currents of our red root chakra, and the wilderness represents the overcoming of our wild lower nature. The treasure seeker's tale of the Ark of the Covenant is, you guessed it, Kundalini. Big surprise. The 2 wings or cherubim are our left and right brain hemispheres meeting in the middle at our pineal gland. Even Jack and the Beanstalk is thought to be about Kundalini, with the beanstalk being our spiraling path to heaven once again, where we battle the giants of our subconscious ego and go after the golden egg of our awakened self. Though Kundalini is most commonly known to stem from Hindu culture, its roots actually go all the way back to ancient Egyptian times, or Kemet as it's referred to, and was originally known as the Uraeus. There's tons of symbolism for this, but the snake and bird is most common, with the snake being man's lower nature, rising to awaken the third eye, and then the bird of man's higher nature flies away into the heavenly realms, precisely why the caduceus symbol is snakes and wings. The Aten is the original name for the third eye and means to see the soul within, or the sun within, as above, so below. In the bottom right, you'll notice 2 red and blue pillars, and that is Freemason symbology of the same left and right hemispheres of our brain, with the third eye awakened in the middle. In this image, we have a famous Masonic estate that is covered in Kundalini symbolism, and as you see at the top, they would perform rituals where the initiate would use the dot in the center of the cross to focus on, which is the third eye, and as they guide their awareness down the spiral staircase, they would be learning to activate Kundalini. Outside of the spiral staircase, there's statues that show more symbolism, such as the 2 counter-rotating tails, just like a caduceus, the man holding a rod with Kundalini serpents, the man with the golden ratio egg over top his head like the opening of the crown chakra, also the third eye symbol within the cross, as well as the actual Freemason symbol. So with all this evidence, and also seeing the symbolism from around the ancient world even through to modern times, and now seeing the Pope clearly holding this Kundalini staff in his hands, it's becoming obvious that the masses have been kept in the dark about our true nature. Feel free to disagree, but in my opinion it's pretty much undeniable at this point, especially considering I've experienced all of this firsthand many times now. One of my biggest inspirations on science and Kundalini, Dan Winter, says the spirit is a plasma donut, meaning it is a torus field, and I've learned the hard way that this torus field can get all kinds of unbalance due to a stressful or unhealthy lifestyle. The more you learn to be one with nature and learn to practice harnessing the power of true love and gratitude, then the more your Torus finds equilibrium and your chakras are aligned, thus your overall spirit feels exponentially better. Here's a great gift made by Terra Nova Earth that I like to help visualize this process. Here's another similar one, but with the chakras being lit one after the other. You could think of Kundalini as having another fractal relationship with the way the planets spiral through the universe as they follow the sun, in the same sense that our energy spirals around our center of our heart and third eye, and as I've mentioned already, also reflects all the way down to our spiraling DNA. More on the heart, body, and DNA fractality, as I touched on previously, our Torus field actually causes an implosion of charge at the heart, which you could think of as X marks the spot, and though it's hard to see, if you look closely, the image on the right is of an X chromosome, which our spiraling DNA is inside of, and during that implosion, the center of the X will actually radiate a beam of energy straight out through the center of the X, just like our bodies do in Kundalini. Dan Winter has all the details you need for more on that subject. Though the heart and pineal gland are the two implosive centers of Kundalini, it's important to note that there's three main points that need to be understood and balanced, not only for Kundalini, but also just for harnessing power and feeling healthy. And these 3 points are most commonly known as Dantian points, but are basically just the electromagnetic north and south poles of the Torus in your body. North pole being your brain, and the south pole being your gut brain. And the powerful electromagnet that is your heart is the source at the center. There seems to be a direct feedback loop of information between your gut brain and your brain, which is why what you eat or drink plays such a giant role in how you feel or think. An interesting way to think about the motion of your body's Torus field is as a reflection of the heart's own Torus. And the more you learn to harmonize those two, the better you will feel and the better you will be at meditation. Now that you see just how structured our reality is and how magical it can become if you just learn to look within yourself, as all the ancient masters of wisdom used to teach, then you can't help but wonder if there's something far greater out there. And you may even begin to wonder if what we call reality is even real. One of today's most well-known geniuses, Elon Musk, is even quoted saying, "There's a 1 in a billion chance reality is not a simulation." So are we basically living in a matrix? Computers run off ones and zeros, infinite combos of ones and zeros, and the crazy thing, the symbol for phi, or the golden ratio, is, guess what? A 1 within a 0. Kundalini is pretty much the same concept, where our Torus is the 0 and our body is the 1. The Washington Monument is a 1 within a 0. Ancient hieroglyphics show balanced polarity like cell division of 1 within a 0. The Shiva Lingas in Hindu worship are lined with Kundalini symbolism and male and female duality of 1 within a 0. The power symbol itself is even a 1 within a 0, because this is where your true power lies. Are you starting to get it now? Throw in the knowledge of thousands upon thousands of reincarnation cases where kids come back remembering exact details of the previous life, along with several names of friends and family that turn out to be verified again and again. Then the only conclusion to me is there truly is something bigger going on here. Physics already proves we all come from the same energy source, and that energy always remains at a constant no matter what we do. We can harness that energy, mold it, study it, explode it, implode it, but no matter what we do, the same amount of energy always remains. That's a powerful realization for myself. So to sum all this up, I believe we are each here for a reason. We do have a soul, and that soul is balanced by karma. We are here to learn how to love and to discover our gifts and become part of the whole by giving our gift or gifts back to society while helping to better ourselves and make the world a better place in the process. This is the process of soul evolution, where we move from chaos to order as we stop destroying ourselves with our negative habits and lifestyle and gradually learn how to become one with the universe by being beings of pure love and light. This is what many believe to be what the second coming of Christ is referring to, where the earth has reached a point in our collective consciousness that allows for a mass awakening to blossom forth. Whether it be God, Allah, Buddha, the universe itself, you name it. We all come from that same source, and we all return to it. Every thought we think has a sound resonance and vibration, and by learning to practice gratitude and truly feeling that bliss within ourselves, we will indeed become that soul that we were destined to be. And if we don't get it in this lifetime, we will be back to try again. This does not mean that there will one day be no bad or evil in the world, because without darkness, the light would have no true meaning. That's all the time I have for part 2, so if you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'm Chad Seymour Morris, and I thank you for watching. See you next time.